Which scene was the hardest to film or experience while filming, or any scene that stayed with you? This is from Maria.
The couch? That sounds so daunting.
It was the couch. No.
I was actually on set that day.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Maybe.
The what? Yeah, I mean, our thing, it was actually interesting because our director also plays my other love interest. And so I think when we were in scenes together, he was like, "Whoa, you seem like you're in love with him." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Atlas." Like, yeah. He's like, but you seem like you're in love with him, but you love Ryle. And I was like, no, I also love Ryle, but like I really love Atlas. You love Ryle. And I was like, wait, I'm sorry. Wait, what's happening? But you love Ryle. And I'm like, no, I do, but like she's conflicted. That was always an interesting dynamic when you have somebody who's playing the character also being the one like looking at the movie. So we were always like, are we too connected? Are we too vibing? Yeah. But she loves Ryle. He's the best. I mean, she loves Atlas. She also loves Ryle. She love them. So yeah, that was always tricky for me because I was like, who do I love?
Hi friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. During Book Bonanza, Blake Lively acted a fool. And I found a bunch of clips of her acting a fool. But there was this panel discussion that we've shown clips of. In the panel discussion, she speaks about stealing the film and basically going to Book Bonanza to show the entire film that was completely unfinished. It was the rough first cut that she had been putting together. It had been seen and screened multiple times, and her cut did not perform as well as Justin's. But instead of following the instructions of Sony and Wayfarer, she brought the cut with her and showed it to 2,500 people. But it was at the same event that she had some incredibly inappropriate behavior when it came to Brandon Sklenar, given the fact that she had forced Wayfarer to sign a document about specific behavior on set. And during an interview in the panel, which was the first day of Book Bonanza, Blake implied that Justin Baldoni, who was the director of the film and playing her love interest / the guy that hurts her, she claims that he was jealous, implying that he was emotionally and like physically attracted to her. And as you saw in that first clip, the implication that she's making is that the director of the film who plays her love interest was jealous of the on-set chemistry that she had with Brandon Sklenar, and that because her character was emanating love and looking at him, Brandon, who played Atlas, with love, that somehow this was an indication that Justin wanted her to love him and love Ryle in the film, as though she was acting like in real life, Ryle and who are Justin and Brandon, are fighting for her love. In no other world can I comprehend how an actress can claim that love interests in a film that are playing characters are then somehow warring between her in real life. Now, if you take this at face value, you would assume that, oh my gosh, of course now it all makes sense. This is why Justin was so inappropriate on the set. Or it could mean that Justin was the director of a film and he was trying to make a movie. And at this point in the film, Lily, the character, was literally supposed to be in love with Ryle and not supposed to be in love with Atlas because she didn't have a relationship with Atlas at that point. They had not seen each other in years. They had not been at all connected. They lived in separate places for years. They had gone on to do their own thing. So this idea that you see your first love that you haven't seen in years and you're suddenly back in love with them, that doesn't even make sense. So she's acting like his direction for her of you need to look at Ryle with love and not play up the love so much with Brandon. Makes sense, right? Because he's not your love interest, he's your old love. She turned that into real life jealousy. Now, if you think of it in this way, I was having a conversation with my husband. If you live in a world where you have to play pretend, like actors and actresses do, and you take things personally that happen on set while you're playing a character, and you're Blake Lively, and you then construe a director giving you a direction that you're supposed to be in love with Ryle at this part in the scene, and you're not supposed to be in love with Atlas in this scene, and you construe that to your director is jealous of you and has feelings for you, you would also be able to somehow stretch the imagination to assume that, while you're playing your character, you think that the director is actually himself making a pass at you, even though it's a script in a scene. And this is where you see the fact that Blake Lively is truly not really the victim here. She's taking situations out of context and making it as though it was happening to her in real life. And it wasn't. None of this was happening to her in real life. She did not have an emotional or physical relationship with Justin outside of filming. They were not dating. They were not in a relationship. He was not jealous of her. I'm pretty sure that Brandon also has a girlfriend. But Lively seems obsessed with Brandon. And I would state that her obsession with Brandon went beyond the flirtation that she did with Justin. And I just want to remind you that in November of 2023, she forced these people to sign a document claiming that there would be no discussions about inappropriate conversations about sex, no discussion about sex lives, no asking her about sex lives, no more walking in on her trailer, no more personal conversations about their personal lives. I mean, the list was ridiculous. In the document, which was titled Protections for Return to Production, which said in order for Blake to be able to return to production on the film, each of the following protections must be agreed to in writing and met without fail going forward. An intimacy coordinator must be present at all times when BL is on set. There are to be no spontaneous improvising of any scenes involving physical touching, simulated sex, and nudity, scenes involving kissing, depictions of blah, blah, blah. All of this must be choreographed in advance, and all must be done with the consent of all participants in advance. Physical touching or comments on BL's physical appearance must only be done and made in connection with the character and scene work, not as to BL personally, except as written into the screenplay or as strictly required in connection with makeup or costume preparation. There is to be no physical touching, including hugging of BL, her on-set personnel, or her employees. So she made Wayfarer say that no one could comment on, touch, physically acknowledge her appearance, her physical appearance, nothing, as long as it was only in relation to being Lily, not in relation to being Blake. No one will enter into her trailer. There'll be no discussions of personal experiences when it comes to intimacy. She may have a representative of her choosing on the set for the remainder of rehearsal and shooting. There will be no retaliation of any kind. These were all the things that she said. So no comments on physical anything, no conversations about sex, no objectifying of her. This is what she demanded of them. She said that the workplace was not safe unless she came back and this is what was agreed to. There was absolutely no implication in this document anywhere that any of this had even happened, only that this is what she required to return to work, a set of guidelines. Well, when you think of the fact that no one was allowed to discuss her physical appearance, the idea that she would then retaliate and do this to Brandon during a press tour and then also comment on him while she's introducing the film to audiences at Book Bonanza, it will make your mouth drop.
Like it was before his Brazilian butt lift too, so like it's a little different. We have to show.
I just couldn't fit it in. I just couldn't fit it in before the film.
I know. Isabella and I made these jeans today because we're really good with iron on patches. Anyway.
I say, what about you? What do you like?
I am fired now.
Moving to Belize.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be like, not my Atlas, and then he's never gonna have a career again.
Yep.
No, I'm. You go ahead. You talk. Isabella and I made his jeans today. Check it out. Wait, you talk. You're charming.
I'm Brandon. I play Atlas.
Show me your pants. Show me your booty. Isabella, right? Get it. Isabella. You didn't show him your pants. Oh my God! Wait, you have to see Brandon's pants. Someone turn on the lights. No, seriously. He let me and Isabella iron on patches.
We did a thing on the pants. Boom.
So when she was on set, No one was allowed to comment about her physical appearance. They were not allowed to touch her. They were not allowed to have conversation with her about their personal lives. They were not allowed to do any of these things. Yet while she was representing the studio for a film, right? So theoretically, she's at Book Bonanza representing Wayfarer Studios and Sony. She is talking about Brandon's butt, joking about him getting a Brazilian butt lift, routinely having him show his butt to the audiences, flirting and calling him charming, making him routinely repeat a flirty exchange that occurred between the two of them in the film. And at one point, when they're joking about their jobs, she says that Brandon will never have a career again. So let's just flip the script. If they were on the tour doing this and they were at a film premiere, and if Brandon did this to Blake, would this have been okay? If Brandon would have said, yeah, that was before she had a Brazilian butt lift, everyone would have been outraged. If Brandon was asking her to show off her butt to an audience every time they introduced a film, she would call that sexual harassment. So her behavior with Brandon was pretty atrocious when you think about what she demanded Wayfair do for her, which again seems to suggest that none of these claims are actually true. And then when you couple with the fact that Blake refused to acknowledge the victims that are of domestic violence while she was on this press tour, and she refused to acknowledge that domestic violence was a part of this film, and instead continued to portray it like it was a romance, it was the sort of rom-com, it was a female empowerment movie. When you look at it from that angle, she ignored the victims of actual domestic violence. And then now she's trying to sympathize and get back her reputation by claiming that she's a victim. When she was supposed to acknowledge victims, right? She ignored them. She didn't want to talk about them, but now to get sympathy, she wants us to acknowledge her being a victim. She's flipping the script. It's projection, it's deflection, it's the mirror that the narcissist use, and that's just my opinion.
This isn't a film about domestic violence. This isn't a film about domestic violence. This isn't a film about domestic violence. It's a film that covers a lot of things, from first love to being an entrepreneur and opening your first shop and having all your dreams come true, to falling in love, to finding a new best friend, to domestic violence, which you don't hear all of those things in one place. But you know, this isn't a story, this isn't a love story, this isn't a love triangle, and this isn't a film about domestic violence.
At the Copenhagen premiere of the film It Ends With Us, which she attended along with Isabella Ferrer, she stood up on stage and told the audience that this film was not about domestic violence. Instead, she said it was this film of a woman doing all these other things, like opening a flower shop, reconnecting with her first love, finding a new best friend. But it was not just a film about domestic violence. She also had domestic violence that happened, but it wasn't just about domestic violence, because she said domestic violence it doesn't define a woman. She said that it is not, she said it's no woman is defined by what one man does to her, positive or negative. No woman is defined by what a man does to her, positive or negative. So she was telling victims that they are not victims. If we're supposed to use that same trope with her now, then we should say to her, then you are not a victim, because you are not defined by what you claim happened to you on set. You are not defined by that. That's just something that happened. You're not defined by what Ryan does to help you either, because that's just Ryan. You know, this is so often what happens with narcissists. But again, apparently, if you call her a narcissist, you are deemed a mommy sleuth in an article on Glamour magazine. Regardless, Blake has this ability to flip narratives no matter what she's experiencing. And this weekend, I spoke to someone that works in crisis PR that has been in the industry for 20 years. And they had said to me that they had been never working directly with Blake or with Ryan, but the industry feedback for both of them was not good. That insiders that have worked with her on set on Gossip Girl basically called her and her mother really challenging, allegedly, very difficult, very demanding, very rude, and that this person who's worked again in PR hasn't spoken to anyone, they said, in the 20 years that they've been in this industry that had anything good to say about their experiences with Brian on set. And they didn't think he was a very nice guy. But publicly, they will cover for him because he makes a lot of money. And that's really what this woman in PR said, is that people say a lot of things publicly in this industry that you have to take with a grain of salt because there's a lot of money on the line. They're all working for different networks or studios. They have NDAs. They have appearances and images to maintain, and then power and money speak in this industry. So, my final thought here is that she demanded that Justin behave a certain way, and Jamie and Wayfarer, but she couldn't then behave that way with Brandon. While she was at Book Bonanza, she paid for Brandon's flight. She paid for Isabel's flight. She paid for their lodging. She was representing the studio. She was listed as the producer. For all intents and purposes, she was Brandon's employer. So, as Brandon's employer, he's supposed to be able to be in a work environment where he's not objectified. People don't speak about his butt. They don't make him show off his butt. And he wasn't getting paid for this weekend, by the way. Only Blake was paying for him to stay. So he had to probably go along with it. She was sexually harassing him in the same way she claims she was sexually harassed. So who really is the victim here? Is she really a victim or is she just projecting? And is she using this as a tool to get what she wants so that she could take over the control of the film? Because she has, and I have discovered, the morality clause, which I'll get into in another video. But after you've had a chance to look at all of this evidence, do you think that she truly believed that Justin had an interest in her and that she believed that he was jealous of her relationship with Brandon and that she believed that Justin was in love with her? Because I get the sense that if I'm taking this at face value of the things that she says publicly, that she has a pretty high opinion of herself and believes that she is a very desirable woman that perhaps a lot of men seek and want to be with. And if she has this opinion, is it such a far stretch to think that she believed that Justin had feelings for her that he did not have and crossed lines that he did not cross? And really, she believed she had a love triangle going on in real life that actually was not a love triangle on the film, but she believed it was happening to her. I don't know, man. Actresses are weird, and this seems delusional, but it's Blake Lively. And again, this is what I found today. Do you think she actually believed this, or is it just another way for her to control a narrative? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Poor Justin. Poor Justin. I feel bad for this guy. His wife was on the set, by the way. So was Ryan Reynolds. Okay. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.